Dolphins and whales are such majestic creatures that live in our oceans and are tapped into all of life in the seas. And we can tap into that wisdom as well when we partner with them for our own healing and our own self-love. Today, we'll be joined by Anne Gordon, who'll be sharing dolphin and whale wisdom with us. Join us to find out more.
Soul Nectar Show, the Soul Nectar Show. You're invited, delighted to discover who you are. Anything is possible if you believe. So join us on this beautiful journey. Soul Nectar Show, Soul Nectar Show.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Soul Nectar Show, that show where we talk about all things essence, where we gather around the campfire and we share our stories of connection to that which is greater than us, to the big mystery beyond the veil, to those synchronistic moments that lead us inexorably to a deeper understanding of ourselves and this world and what we're doing here. And I'm your host, Carrie Hummingbird. You know I love having these conversations week after week and bringing forward inspiration, realization, insight, revelation for these times of awakening on our planet. And today is special to my heart. And I want to share that we're going to be receiving messages from the ocean, not just the ocean, but the dolphins and the whales in the ocean, our brethren that swim and that live with Mama Cocha, the mother of the waters. And we have a lot of healing to do with our relationship with the ocean. We have a lot of healing to do with our relationship with everything, and also the oceans, and also the dolphins and the whales. And, you know, I loved when I saw Avatar 2, and I loved the ocean scenes. I loved the demonstration of what it would look like to have a close relationship, a close tie to a whales, to another species that lives in the ocean that's not with two legs and two hands and walking and talking, but like it lives a completely different existence, yet can be in communion with us and for the benefit of all of life on the planet. And so I love that they brought that forward in such a big way, mainstream for everyone to see. And it's not just a fiction, it's a reality that could be made possible, and that many of us are actually interested in making possible. And so one of those people that's interested in making that reality possible is dear Anne. Anne Gordon is with us. Welcome, Anne.
Thank you, Carrie. It's a pleasure and an honor to be here.
Really excited to have you here. So a little bit about Anne is that Anne has spent her entire life in the presence of dolphins and whales. She grew up watching orca whales while boating and living in the Pacific Northwest. She's been running her own successful whale and dolphin wisdom retreats internationally since 2007. And she helps people to receive the wisdom of the dolphins and the whales through transformational retreats in many places around the world, including Bimini and Hawaii, Mexico, French Polynesia, and many more locations. And so if you're interested in that kind of thing, you want to get to know Anne. It's really cool. And she's also a certified dolphin energy healing practitioner. So if you're interested in building in dolphin healing into your set of skills, you know, as a healer, well, she's the person to go to. So that's really exciting too. And so we'll be finding out all about this kind of stuff, as well as her oracle card deck, Wisdom from the Sea. So many great things we're going to talk about today. So stay tuned and join us. Yeah, so excited to have you here. And so get us started. Like, how did you, obviously you were a kid growing up, you got close to the ocean, dolphins and whales just became part of your reality. So you bring us into your world, because not all of us have had that experience. You know, some of us live on the inland. Some of us I've seen a whale. It was really cool. You know, I've seen dolphins, but some of us have never seen that. And so bring us into your world, Anne. Tell us how you got started.
Yeah, thank you. Well, as you mentioned, I grew up in the Pacific Northwest. My dad had a boat, went out every summer vacation in the San Juan Islands, many weekends boating, and I got to see the orca whales from very, very young. And it was always fun. It was always exciting. It was never boring. And I realized looking back on that time that in their presence, it always felt like a kind of loving, supportive, protective older brother energy. And whenever I was with the orcas, so that was really powerful for me. And like probably many of you who are watching this, I never felt quite understood in my family, right? And so having that orca presence was very, very comforting to me. And so they've always been very important. And then as I matured and went to school and all of that, I studied biology and animal behavior in university. I ended up working as a zookeeper at the Seattle Zoo. I then raised and trained wild animals, land animals, to go out to schools and do educational outreach programs to teach respect for wildlife. And then I realized there was nobody providing animals for the film industry in the Pacific Northwest. So I started training both wild and domestic animals for movies and television and did that for over 20 years. And at one point during that time, I started feeling the call of the dolphins. And what that looked like was I just started thinking about them more. I started like, how do I get out to see them? I started exploring, spending more time on the water, and my dad had passed by then, so no more family boat to go out on. So I booked an orca watching trip up in the San Juan Islands, and it turns out the boat was the exact same kind as my dad's, which was a real rare type. And we went out, and not only did we find orcas, we found what is known as a super pod, which is in the Pacific Northwest, there are 3 resident orca pods, J, K, and L, and rarely they come together in what is called a super pod. And when a super pod happens, it is like a family reunion, it is a party, it is a celebration, and they're doing every behavior possible. There's breaching and tail slapping and fin slapping and spy hopping and racing around. And we were with them for 2 hours in this super pod. And it was, I mean, they would swim right next to the boat and turn up and look at us. And it was incredible, so magical. And again, in the moment, I'm just in pure joy. But looking back on it, it's like, okay, that was my welcome back. That was my reawakening to this what love of whales and dolphins. And then from there, I just started like, couldn't get my hands on enough, like reading spiritual books about dolphins and whales. And I've always dreamed of swimming with them my entire life. And then I started meditating with them, and it just grew and grew and grew from there.
Wow, that is such a beautiful experience you shared. I felt like I was viscerally there, like just
Nice.
in the energy of the happiness of the reunion of the whales, and just imagining them looking up at you and breathing and hearing them breathe, right? Because you can hear them breathe. It's the most cool thing. If you guys
Yeah,
have
it
never
is.
been whale watching, like you're not supposed to use any motors because the motors actually disturb their environment. And so you just kind of have to float and trust that that one will come over to you, and kind of
Right.
nearby. And we had that happen. We were on a with the kind of boat catamaran with the net in the middle.
Hmm.
And my
Yep.
my little son was on the net with me. He's like 1 year old, and I'm holding him. And like this whale just like comes up like 5 feet away from the boat. It felt like, and just breathed and just went whoosh,
Right.
and just breathed in and out, and then it went under again. And I was like, oh my gosh, that thing is massive. That's amazing. And the intelligence and the sensitivity of the
Yep.
animals is also like really powerful. And I think they captured that in that movie I mentioned. Is like they're so like spiritual and wise. And so tell us about what you've learned about whales, because I don't know as much of them about them as you do, but I just know every time I've run across them, it's like this totally mystical experience of like just profound spiritual connection. and intelligence that they seem to have, so tell us more.
Yeah, so I mean, I could go on all day and telling what I have learned from the whales and the dolphins. And, as I was working in the film industry, it took me to Panama, where I worked on a film. I met an amazing young man from the jungle who I ended up marrying, moved to Panama, and then it turns out nobody was doing whale watching there. So I literally pioneered the whale watching industry in the country, which is not easy in a Latin country when you're blonde and blue-eyed, right? And that is where my retreats were born in 2007. And so I spent every whale season, 3 months out of the year, 4 or 5 days a week on the water with the whales. And we had humpback whales there, and we had dolphins. And so I got to spend a lot of time learning. And what my brain does is it turns, first I'm an observer. I love to watch their behavior and then really figure out what that means for them. And then I also can extrapolate it and turn it into what it means for us, right? And so first and foremost, and you were talking about being on that boat, the whale shows up and the breath, and it's big, powerful breath. And then the inhale, right? A big, powerful breath. And then what I've realized is that when there's a dolphin or whale in front of your boat, it is impossible to think about anything else. And we humans are really bad about living in the worries of and expectations of tomorrow and the regrets and mistakes from the past. But when we're in the present moment that the whale and dolphin brings to us, it really is a gift. Because what I have noticed is that, especially with the dolphins, people, it's so funny. It's like you gave everybody a happy, silly pill. They start getting really silly and playful and burst into songs like goofy 60s TV theme songs. They're just to express their joy. It's so fun to watch. And then I've also discovered that being with the whales, it beautifully, gently releases what no longer serves. And to me, I like to say that when you're like on a retreat with the whales or the dolphins, there is no traumatic breakdown that needs to happen to have that powerful breakthrough. Even if you don't even know you're looking for something, it will come through, and the whales and the dolphins will work their magic. Now, one of the other things I've learned is that we humans, when we're faced with a challenge, what do? We resist, we avoid, we shut down, we contract, we go into fear mode. And the dolphins and the whales, I've seen this happen, where when the ocean gets stormy and rough, they don't avoid it. I mean, obviously they have to keep breathing air, but they play with those giant waves. They literally know how to surf through the challenges. And they'll use the waves to propel them. They'll jump into those waves and use the force of the wave to propel them higher than they could go without that storm. And it's fascinating to watch, because I've seen whales where it's on a calm, flat ocean day, and they're just quiet and resting. And then all of a sudden this big storm whips up. One day we were out, and then we got these 40-knot winds, just boom, out of nowhere. And all the whales, they just start breaching and breaching and breaching. It was amazing. So how can we as humans learn to play with the energy of challenge? How can we surf and ride that wave to bring us somewhere we've never been before? It's a whole new way of thinking about a challenge.
Oh, that's so powerful. I love that sensing of they're kind of tuning into their environment. Like they are
Right.
they're aligning themselves with the energetics of the ocean and
Yep.
they're being in harmony. So if the ocean is smooth and flat, they're just kind of
Hmm.
being restful and resting
Yep.
along with the ocean. But if the ocean has, some swells and some motion to it, then they're leaning into the motion of the ocean, right? And
Yeah.
so they're like playing with that, is what you're saying. They're tuning themselves to what their overall environment is
Yeah.
raising up for them to explore.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you know horses at all, they do the same thing. If you see horses on a windy day, they're kicking up their heels, they're running around, they're playing with that wind. So they have the same way of being with the whales as the whales and the dolphins do. So, and then probably there's so many lessons I could go to, but another really powerful one is whales represent abundance. They're the largest creatures to have ever lived on this planet, bigger than the biggest dinosaurs ever were. And some of these whales eat the smallest, like the biggest whale, the blue whale, eats krill that are little tiny things. And they never worry about where their next meal is coming from. And science has proven that when there are more whales eating krill and fish in the ocean, there's not less krill and fish, there's more. That literally, just by being whales, they're creating their own abundance because little biology here, what happens when you eat? What comes next? You gotta poop, right? And in whale poop is a lot of nitrogen, which is what the plant-based phytoplankton needs. And so the more whale poop, the more nitrogen, the more phytoplankton, which means there's more food for the zooplankton, which means there's more food for the krill and the fish, and thus the cycle.
Wow. So they're like really essential to the ecosystem.
Absolutely.
And I've heard that lately that the ocean's been heating up in some places in the world and that the whales have actually been beaching themselves like as a whole pod, like together. Is that something you've heard about? And can you share any more insight about that behavior?
Well, it's not necessarily from the oceans heating up because this behavior has been going on for centuries. And every case is unique. There's not one answer to every beaching. You have to really know the species, you have to know the circumstances. There is proof that some of the beachings are a result of military testing on low frequency sonar at high decibel levels that actually breaks the eardrum of these marine mammals, and they navigate by sound. And they will beach because they're just totally lost. They can't get around anymore. And so and they'll beach and there will actually be blood coming out of their ears. So it's a telltale sign that that's what's happened. Um, there's other cases where if it's for example, pilot whales often beach in pods, not just one. Same with, I've seen rough-toothed dolphins do this as well, orcas sometimes, that when just one of the member of the pod is ill and for whatever reason goes towards shore and gets caught, is weak, is dying, all the rest go with it. They're not intending to die and beach themselves, but sometimes they get caught up in wanting to be with that one individual and support them because they have been observed where one of their I was just reading it's a horrible story, but it was back in the 60s where they were at the time they believed all killer whales were the vicious killers, and these fishermen were trying to kill one, and they shot one with a rifle from a fishing boat, and the other orcas came and supported it and lifted it up so it could breathe. And that's what they're trying to do that, and that one goes to the beach, then the rest gets stuck. So there's many different reasons. We can't blame the rising ocean temperatures on that. And I haven't heard that that's an exact correlation, but there's all kinds of, there's obviously a lot of noise pollution in the water, from military testing to ships and, all kinds of stuff going on, and confusion and nets and, all kinds of things that is really getting in the way of the dolphins and whales living their normal life.
Yeah, and that noise pollution is happening all over the planet because we create a lot of noise as a species. And
Yeah,
yeah, we impact a lot of our environment. And it's easier to tell that in the water because the water conducts the sound vibration a lot better, more amplified than like
it
the
does.
air. So,
It does. There's actually there's a depth, and I don't know what it is. It's around 1,000 feet, something like that, where the Navy discovered this. The U.S. Navy discovered this when they were, of course, listening for submarines, enemy submarines, and whatever they do, right? But they discovered that there's one depth where its sound travels longer and easier across distances. And what they discovered is that whales are communicating literally on either side of the planet through that depth. It's
that's
fascinating.
amazing. And so I hope that we're avoiding that depth, but that would just be me hoping that we're
Right.
sensitive to the whales. And the cynic
I'm
in
with
me
you.
says probably not. But yeah, I'm curious, like, so let's go to the next topic, which is like when we work with the dolphins and the whales as healers,
Mhm.
like
Yep.
what's the kind of because I want to hear from the dolphins and the whales about that subject of like how do we support you through
Yeah,
this
yeah.
crazy humanity experience, but let's do that next. And let's right now go into like how do we work with them for for our own healing, for our own awakening, because I have a feeling that what they might say is like, why don't you guys wake up? And then once you wake up, you'll realize what you're doing and you'll stop it, but that's kind of just my human brain saying that. So what do you like when we work with the dolphins and the whales, what's some of the medicine that we can receive as receivers of the medicine?
Yeah, and you're not far off. So dolphins and whales have been on this planet for about 40 million years in their current form. We humans have been here about 250,000, so a mere blip in comparison. So the way they look at our species, because I often get asked, how come the whales aren't angry at us? How come they're not taking revenge? Like people have thought that, like the orcas that are biting the rudders of the boats in off of the coast of Spain and Gibraltar, that it's all about revenge. Well, I've never met a whale and communicated with a whale or a dolphin that thinks that way. If you look at, which is a really hard movie to watch, but if you look at that movie, The Cove, that documentary, and it's all about in Taiji, Japan, where they hunt dolphins. What I noticed when I watched that, I mean, it's horrific to watch, but there's these Japanese fishermen, they're standing in the water, they're surrounded by dolphins that have been herded in by nets and boats, and they're killing them with knives. Not one dolphin fights back. And dolphins are a lot stronger than we humans are. And they could easily hurt us, even kill us. They have very sharp teeth, strong jaws. They don't. They just try and get away. So here's how they look at us. And this is what they've shared with me is that they look at us like toddlers, like this baby new species on this planet, bumbling along, making a lot of mistakes. But just like when a 2-year-old has a temper tantrum or throws something that it shouldn't, we don't usually get mad at it because we know the 2-year-old hasn't got all the skills yet to figure life out. And so we use it as a lesson and we patiently teach them. That's what the dolphins and whales are here to do for us. They have so many ways that they can model for us how to live a happier, more joyful, peaceful life without in perfect balance and harmony with this planet, without destroying what is feeding us.
That's beautiful. Thank you for that. Yes. And we are a juvenile species. We think a lot of ourselves, but we're actually just beginning. We're just getting started. And there's so much that we don't understand about being in right relationship with all the life forms on this planet. And, we were designed to be the stewards of all life, right? So I guess we're learning as we go because we really don't know how to
No,
be the steward right now.
no. Some of
So
us are, we're waking up, but those of us having this kind of a conversation are aware of it and have the desire and the compassion for it. And even still, we make mistakes, but there are many who haven't even gotten to this level yet of awareness. That's the first step, is awareness.
And so once you get to the awareness and you have like a mystical experience with a dolphin or a whale, or like I had one come through in a shamanic journey yesterday. I was like, oh,
Oh, nice.
pink dolphin would like to work with me. Okay.
Mm.
I don't know how, but okay. And yeah, I've just been opening to that medicine. Um, but like how do we once we get the sign, how do we work with these energies? Because if we don't have access to the actual physical being, right?
Hmm,
So
hmm.
it's all just kind of psychic and imagination. I mean, how do we connect with them?
Yeah, it's actually pretty easy. Obviously, you just tune in, you ask for them to be with you. Sometimes they show up when you're least expecting, like like they did for you. And pink dolphin, the pink Amazon river dolphin, represents unconditional love. So that's
That's
there,
like
and
you're
there's
bringing tears to my eyes because that's literally half of my Gene Keys chart is overcoming
mm,
judgment and opinion and expectations and learning how to
wow,
like unconditionally love myself and others, right? And also I
yeah,
go to the jungle a lot. So I'm going down there again in November, and so there's pink dolphins up and down the Amazon, right? So like I'm getting ready to go back down there to Peru, and so yeah, the pink dolphin. What a beautiful, thank you for that. And then how do you, because you have got that nice Oracle card deck you just pulled for us, but what else would you have to share? Like, how else can we connect? We pulled
yeah.
a
There's
card and then what?
obviously you can pull a card, you can read it. There's a booklet that gives you more information. You can tune in, you can ask for them to come into your meditations. You can, invite them into your dreams. Now, here's something that I do, or you can have a session from me or another certified dolphin whale energy healer. And when I do a session, I bring through, they give me visions and messages that I share out loud. And what I do every single night, and this is something that anybody watching can do, and that is just the last thing I do before I go to sleep, is I invite the dolphins and the whales in, and here's exactly word for word what I'd say. Thank you, dolphins and whales, for sharing your powerful healing energy with me now. And then I add, I give you complete permission to adjust my frequencies and my physical body in any way that is for my highest good. And when I go to sleep, I just let them do their thing. I let go of any expectations. Usually, as I fall asleep really easily, so usually I'm out right after that. Sometimes I dream of them, sometimes I don't, but I know that they're working their magic on me. So, and you know what? Here's a fun game you can play with them. You can ask them, guys, dolphins, whales, I would love to know that you're here with me. Can you show me? Right? And then just sit back, keep your eyes open, and watch. It may show up in your shamanic journey. They may show up on a t-shirt on the guy in the line at the grocery store. They may show up like one day. This was a funny story. I live 3 blocks from the beach, and there's a pier down there. So sometimes I'll go down there and walk along the beach and then walk out the pier. And of course, I'm always looking for dolphins and whales anytime I'm at the ocean. And I looked and I didn't see any dolphins or whales that day. And I'm walking back along the pier back towards shore. And I look down at my feet, and there's this little tiny blue rubber dolphin just laying there on the boardwalk. And I'm like, okay, I did see a dolphin. It just wasn't what I thought I would see, right? They're here, they're everywhere. And here's another really powerful story of how they can show up when you start calling them in. And this was when I was living in Panama. I am no longer married. So going through the end of the marriage and the impending divorce, it's never easy. There's all kinds of emotions that come up. So I was in a taxi and I was actually coming back from the divorce attorney. And I was going home and I was, really fighting back the tears because I didn't want to start sobbing in the back of a taxi. And so we were stopped at a light, and it was one of the busiest intersections of the city, like 5 big major roads come together and all these people walking and, crazy. And I'm sitting there fighting the tears, going, please just turn green so we can go home. And the city bus goes by. And on the side of the city bus was a life-size photo of an orca whale. I was like, oh, right. Thank you. You're here for me. Thank you. Brought me so much peace. But here's the amazing part. Panama doesn't have orca whales.
Wow.
I never saw that bus again. Nobody ever saw that bus. There's not a single bus with a dolphin or any kind of whale on it anywhere in Panama City. It was my bus for me.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Wow. And was that the kind of whale that you guys saw when you were growing up? No, okay, but
yes, that's what I grew up with. That's who I grew up with. It was not who I spent time with in Panama. In Panama, was humpback whales and dolphins. It was not orcas. I mean, we would get orcas maybe once every 2 years. I spent 15 years on the water with them. Never saw an orca.
But there it was saying, hi,
Yeah.
I'm with you and you're okay.
Exactly.
Wow, that's really beautiful. That's powerful.
It is.
So if it's like with all shamanic things, we get to pay attention to the nuances, right? And so I think it's like building a relationship with that ally. And like if it comes to you, like mine came to me, I was like, and of course it's in the Amazon, right? So it's just circling around me going, I have so much to share with you. If you would just stop and ask me, and I'm just like, okay, pink dolphins. Yeah. Okay. On to the next thing. Where's the tobacco? Where's the Renikia? But like pink dolphin, and so dropping in to make that relationship, just acknowledging, like, I see you've reached out to me. I see you're watching me, so what do I need to understand, like, because I am in the middle of, just like you said, like, sometimes it's really hard to let go of a dream or a connection, or, if anybody out there is resonating with your story of divorce, it's like, yeah, I went through a divorce as well. And it's really hard to let go of those expectations, right? It's because I have children too. So I've been in that like letting go process for a while now. And I was the one who initiated the divorce, but still I wanted it to go a different way. I wanted it to be one of these really conscious decouplings and like everybody gets along and likes each other. It's just not happen. So I am like in a dream unfulfilled, space. And how to move through that, without the judgment and without the expectation, and keeping my heart open, even though I'm being like shunned and rejected, is like, that's really challenging for me. And so when you have these allies come forward, do they generally kind of chase after you because they have medicine for like exactly that thing? Is that kind of why they hunt you down?
Yeah, it is, and it's perfect because, and that's exactly why the pink dolphin came to you, is that unconditional love is there is no such thing as expectation. There is no such thing as judgment. It just it just is pure love. And it's loving, it's almost taking it to a step away from the human to the human. It's taking it from the soul to the soul, the heart to the heart, the core, right? Which is where we can connect with everybody, no matter who they are, right? And sometimes when I lead, I just led a class over the weekend, and we were talking about this and forgiveness. The whole energy of forgiveness is huge, and the gray whales teach us forgiveness, and I'll share a little bit more about that in a minute. But they guide us to, like, imagine somebody, and it could be somebody you don't know, like a politician or some leader that you don't agree with,
We have
right?
one of those in the United States right now.
Right. Without naming names and going into politics, right? We
Some people would say we have two of those people right now we don't agree with. But yeah.
right, right. We all have somebody like that out there in the world that was like, well, I wish they just go away. I don't, but if you imagine them as a hurt little child, you know, 2, 3, 4 years old, clearly they're damaged. Clearly they were not loved the way they should be and supported. Otherwise they wouldn't be so angry and hurtful, right? And so that if we can get to the point of ignoring who they are right now and finding that young little child who just wants to be loved and wasn't, that's a place we can find compassion. And that's where we can bring through that unconditional love. Because if you look at the politician who's doing these things that you're like horrified by, that's a really hard thing to ask yourself, right?
It
I
is,
can't
especially
love
when it's
that
about
person,
to impact your own life. It's like, ah,
right? And then if you can take it even a step further, if you can get to that, then take it to the people that the people we do know and love that have hurt us or that are behaving badly or are, situations like divorce where it's people are hurt, so they lash out, right? If we look at the source of the pain and then practice unconditional love from that place, that's powerful.
yeah.
Now,
And having no expectations for that unconditional love to be returned.
no, that's the thing.
Like
You don't worry about that. It's not
no
important.
reciprocity. Yeah.
No, no, there's not. It's not like, well, I said I love you. How come you didn't say it back? It's not that at all, right?
No, it's
Not
just
at
like
all.
it's like I think for me it's like making a choice
Yeah,
to lift myself, right? It's a choice because
yeah,
I
it is.
feel the pull of the shadow
Yeah,
frequencies. I feel them. And
of
then it's like,
course.
okay, there, still there.
Yep,
And I wake up and I
yep.
say, is it still there? Yep, it's still there. Dang it. Okay.
No,
And then
we're
just
human, right? That's normal.
bringing unconditional because I can see all the things you're talking about. Like, yeah, the wounding and the matching pictures and anything I would say about him, I could say about myself, because we were a matching picture. So like all of those things are things we can forgive, we can release, we can let go. And it's also like, it's just kind of feels endless when there's like just I guess it's just a devotional practice of unconditional love because nothing shifts. There's no shifting happening. So it's just
Yeah,
like practicing unconditional love just because of practicing unconditional love and probably assuming nothing's going to change, but just keep practicing unconditional love just for the
exactly.
sake of practicing unconditional love. And then
Yeah,
that's it. And just keep practicing it. Because the
that's it. And
expectations pull back into like
exactly.
then you're like
Yeah,
frustrated that there's nothing happening, Yeah. And then there's
yeah,
disappointment and all those other feelings.
exactly. Exactly. So let me give you an amazing example of forgiveness. So the gray whales, they go to 3 lagoons in Baja, Mexico to breed and give birth. In the 40s, 30s and 40s, the whalers discovered those lagoons.
Hmm.
And when you are there, it is like whale soup. There's whales everywhere. And it's amazing to be there. But when the whalers discovered it was like super easy pickings for them. And so they almost wiped them out completely. And the gray whales were the only species of whale that actually fought back aggressively against the whalers. Every other species generally would just try and flee and get away. But the gray whales were aggressive, so they were called the devilfish by the whalers. But now in those very same lagoons, they are the only species of whale, and really the only species of any wild animal, who actually seeks humans out just to connect. Like, you may see monkeys in Bali and, in Indonesia, they don't care about people. They just want food. They just want something. They don't care about the connection. But the whales will swim right up to the boat, stick their head up and let you touch them, even kiss them, and love on them. And they will even bring their newborn babies and push them up to be.
Wow.
I've had a mother whale, I go every year. I've had a mother whale literally bring us her baby. She goes over there and takes a nap, and we babysit for an hour.
Wow.
They have forgiven the human race for almost wiping them off the map. And some of the whales are old enough to remember the whaling. And they started this behavior with a local fisherman. It's nothing that we humans started.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's
That's
powerful.
powerful. Well, they put a boundary down. They said, you can't do this to us. Stop it. And
Right.
which we need. We needed a boundary.
Yeah.
I think that's also part of love. Part of love is like,
Sure.
is setting boundaries, is being clear,
Yeah.
practicing
Right.
clear communication. And, it's practicing love isn't necessarily practicing receiving abuse and being okay with it. Like,
Absolutely
that's
not.
not
No.
okay. Setting a
No.
boundary and saying, no, that's not how you treat me.
Right.
So I love that they did that. That actually warmed my heart.
Yeah. It's
So,
beautiful.
so in this last time we have, is there some
Yeah.
message you want to just bring forward from the whales for our audience, for whoever's listening and is going to listen? And I can feel the energy already shifting. So I'm just going to let you be the mouthpiece for the whale
All right.
wisdom.
I'm just going to tune in, close my eyes, bring them through. Greetings. We are thrilled and so deeply honored to be here with you today. We feel your passion. We feel your heart. You literally have the heart of a whale. And we also feel the burden that you carry. And we wish to literally float you up to the surface. That sometimes it may feel like you are drowning, that you are sinking amongst all that is going on in the world, and that it is up to you to fix. It is up to you to make a difference. And we are here to tell you that it is already done. You have already made a huge, powerful impact in the world. Your love makes a difference. Just your intention of wanting to make a difference sets the tone for others to step into that as well. And that we invite you to start with unconditionally loving yourself. To let go. You humans are so hard on yourselves. Imagine swimming and playing with us and our dolphin cousins and the joy of that. Do that for yourself. Feel that joy of being with us. And then turn that joy on yourself. The biggest impact you can make in the world is truly loving yourself. Coming to a place of deep peace within yourself. No need to carry all of these emotions and all of these burdens. Love yourself. And when you come to that place of peace within, that will be how you carry yourself in the world. And that is how you will react from this place of love and peace, not from hurt, not from being weighed down from burdens. And from that peace and love, you will have limitless patience. And that love inside you will just bubble out and be shared with the world. And it will make a difference. It will flow out like this gentle wave of love, spreading farther, touching everyone you come in contact with, from loved ones to friends to colleagues to somebody you pass on the sidewalk, on the street. And then your wave of love will soften their hearts and ease their day, bringing them even just a little bit of joy. And then they will interact with others in a more joyful, peaceful way. And it will continue on around the world. So our best advice to you is to love yourself, heal yourself, be joyful with yourself. That is how you heal the world for all of us who live here with you. We thank you for calling us to be here with you today.
So beautiful. I just got me teared up.
It's not surprising. It was a powerful message.
Yeah, I felt
I
the
never know
energy.
what's going to come through.
I felt the
Yeah.
love. Just the profound love was touching my heart. Thank you so much
You're welcome.
for letting that come through. And wow, that was very touching. I hope it touched everyone's heart who's listening.
Yeah, that was for everybody who's watching. Yeah.
Yeah. Beautiful. Love ourselves. That's job number one.
Yep, it certainly is. Yeah.
And be joyful and playful inside our
Yeah.
own hearts. And that helps
Yeah.
everybody, helps the world.
I love the image what of course I'm seeing it in my mind's eye, of us rolling around in the water playing with the dolphins and the whales and the joy that feels like. It's like, how can we do that for ourselves? That's amazing. Without, yeah, you could come on a retreat with me and I can actually physically take you to do that. But there are ways in your life every day that you can find that joy.
Yes, and you almost froze on that point, so that was like a really important point, is that there's things, something every day that we can do to bring ourselves joy. And so
Right.
as a person who struggles with up until now seriousness, it's like a
Hmm.
weighty energy, like the weight
Yep.
of the world on my shoulders, like
Yep.
concern for humanity, concern for the planet. I know we all feel it. And it's
Yep.
like we got to do better, and we know we got to do better. And it's
Mm,
like we try to push ourselves to do better,
yeah.
right? It's like be smarter. And we're like, you made a mistake. Can't afford mistakes. And that kind of thinking, right? It brings a person down. And I love what they're saying. It's like, no, the whole medicine is to love yourself, is to be joyful, to really be grateful for this life experience and the opportunity to be here in a body and co-create, and
Right.
to even have had this transmission, just the joy of hearing this and feeling this energy come through. And for all of us, that itself is a joyful thing. So
Yeah.
yeah, beautiful, beautiful sister. I love your dolphin, whale, ocean medicine. And you
Thank
teach you
you.
teach people how to channel this themselves, right? How to transmit
Oh,
this energy and these messages. Yeah.
yep.
So tell us a little bit about the training before we leave, just so people know, like, how do they work with you on that?
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, it's what's really fun is I'll tell you a little secret. I don't feel energy. It feels like I'm doing nothing when I'm doing a healing energy session. But they do send me clearly, they send me visions, they speak through me, they send me these messages. So, I mean, it's like I'm watching a movie in my mind. But that's what I'm teaching in my Dolphin Whale Energy Healer certification program is that everybody has their own unique way of attuning and channeling this powerful healing energy. So if you don't have visions and messages, perfect. If you don't feel energy, perfect. There's always a way, and all we have to do, it's really quite simple, is I just imagine myself like I'm a straw. I'm a conduit. I ask the dolphins and whales to send their powerful healing energy through me to my client. And then I just envision myself stepping aside and just letting it pour through and trusting. That's sometimes the hardest part, is just trusting. And the fun part is in this program, we do a lot of practice. Every call we practice. People go, I put you in breakout rooms and you practice with other people on the call, and then you give each other feedback. And that feedback is crucial because when I was learning, remember, I felt nothing. And I'm thinking, I don't know what I'm doing here. But my partners would always respond and share that they had these powerful feelings and visions and and all these things happen for them. And I'm like, I guess I'm doing something, right? And so now I obviously completely trust it because I've been doing it since 2005. So, and I have a whole PDF. If you want, I can share it with you. I'll have to send you the link, but it's so you can put it out with this, but it's Healing the World in Partnership with Dolphins and Whales. It's a whole PDF document with some information on how you can connect and to dive, pardon the pun, deep into partnership with the dolphins and whales.
Oh, I love that. I know the audience would love that as well. That's beautiful. Thank you for that gift. We'll make that our
Yes.
free gift for today. So you guys can go, I'll give you the link and you can go collect that from Anne and get part of her mailing list and get on and find out about her classes and her trips and go be with the dolphins and the whales in person with her. That's an amazing, beautiful gift. And thank you so much for channeling and for all your wisdom you shared today. Appreciate you. And so we're
So
going
welcome.
to, yeah, please, everybody, like, subscribe, share this episode out with anybody who loves dolphins and whales or just happen to get a dolphin or whale message is like, this is the episode to listen to. And then if you're one of those people, tell some more people and we'll get more people involved in this. And maybe everybody can get this document about how to partner with the whales for the planet. That's lovely. Okay, well, we're going to give kisses. So thank you guys for tuning in. Appreciate you being here with us and listening all the way to the end. And so here comes your love. And so I always give like little Reiki kisses if you want to join me, Anne, to the
All right,
audience.
I'll send whale kisses.
Whale kisses. Okay, I'm going to send my kisses. You send whale kisses. Here they come, everybody.
Okay.
Mm. Yay! All right, you guys, thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time on Soul Nectar Show. Bye for now, everyone.
If you found even one gold nugget in this episode of Soul Nectar Show, will you do us a favor? Will you subscribe, like, and share this episode? Maybe even write a comment and let us know what you thought about it. We really, really want to engage with you at a much deeper level. Let's be part of community together. Have a great week, everyone. Bye for now. To dive in deeper to nourishing conversation, visit soulnectar.show.
Soul Nectar Show. Awaken away to show. Take a sip from the drip of the nectar, from the source of who you are.